The moment he tried to destroy me wasn't subtle, it was cinematic. A room full of executives, glowing screens, murmured conversations, and then his voice slicing through everything like a blade. "She's incompetent," Daniel said, leaning back in his leather chair with a confidence he hadn't earned. "She doesn't belong here. She's a liability to the entire department." For a second, I couldn't breathe. Those words weren't just criticism, they were a calculated strike, a public execution. And everyone knew it. His statement echoed across the conference room. A colleague shifted uncomfortably. Someone else looked away. My manager pretended to read his notes, unwilling to intervene. I felt every set of eyes weighing me, measuring my worth based on a lie. But Daniel wasn't done. "I honestly don't know why she was hired," he continued, his voice dripping with arrogance. "We need people who bring value, not whatever she's doing." He smirked at me, slow, cruel, certain he had won. And in that split second, I realized something profound. He was terrified of me, terrified of my ideas, terrified of my potential, terrified that I was rising faster than he had expected. So he attacked first. He thought this was the moment he would bury my career. He had no idea he had just ignited my empire. I didn't say a word, not then, not in that room. Because when your greatest enemy thinks he has defeated you, silence is the most powerful strategy. The meeting ended. People avoided me as they walked out, uncomfortable with conflict or too afraid to take a side. Daniel made sure to walk past me slowly, whispering, "Don't take it personally, it's just business." As if that made humiliation acceptable. I gathered my things. My hands shook but my mind was sharp, hyper-focused. Something inside me had shifted, a line had been drawn. I walked out of the office with one thought burning in my mind. He thinks he ruined me. But this is the beginning. That night, I paced around my tiny apartment replaying the moment in the conference room. Every insult, every smirk. I felt the anger rising in waves. But underneath it, something stronger. Clarity. For months, I had been sitting on an idea, one I had pitched repeatedly, but had always been shut down, mostly by him. An idea for an online platform dedicated to professional women, giving them career resources, mentorship, and a space to grow beyond the limitations of corporate politics. But I'd been scared to act on it. Scared to step out. Scared to take risks. Scared to fail. Daniel's humiliation erased all of that in an instant. Sometimes villains do one useful thing. They push you off the ledge you were too afraid to jump from. By dawn, I wasn't defeated. I was planning. I researched domain names, branding concepts, business models. I sketched out the platform. I listed potential mentors. I mapped a content strategy. Every second I worked, his words played in my head. "She doesn't belong here. She's incompetent. She's a liability." He had given me fuel, more powerful than encouragement, and I was going to use every spark. For weeks, I worked after hours. My apartment became a war room. Sticky notes, whiteboards, open laptops, markers everywhere. I lived off instant noodles and cold coffee, sleeping 4 hours a night. I didn't tell a soul what I was building. Not friends. Not coworkers. Not even family. Secrets grow best in silence. Meanwhile, at work, Daniel didn't stop. He spread rumors, sabotaged projects, undermined my reports, blocked my ideas. He even tried to get me written up for things he fabricated. And although it hurt, it also fueled me. Every time he pushed me down, I built something bigger. 3 months later, my platform was ready. I named it Rise Avenue. It felt fitting. I wasn't just rising, I was paving a road others would rise on too. The launch wasn't huge. No big press, no paid ads. Just a simple post on social media. A space for every woman who's ever been underestimated. I went to sleep expecting little. I woke up to chaos. Hundreds of shares. Thousands of comments. Tens of thousands of signups. Women from all over the world were pouring in, hungry for community, support, guidance, tools, connection. The platform crashed twice from the traffic surge. I cried hard. Not because it was overwhelming, but because for the first time in my life, I felt unstoppable. And the best part, Daniel didn't know yet. Not until the day Rise Avenue hit 500,000 members. Not until journalists began writing articles. Not until major brands reached out for partnerships. Not until investors emailed asking for meetings. I walked into the office that morning with a quiet confidence he had never seen in me. He was waiting by my desk with his usual smirk. "So about yesterday's report," he began. But he stopped mid-sentence when he saw my inbox open, filled with interview requests, business proposals, and a message from a Forbes editor. He blinked, staring, Confused. Lost. What is this? He asked. I smiled politely. Oh, I said calmly, that's my company. He tried to speak, but no words came out. His face went pale. He had spent months trying to kill my confidence. Instead, he built my brand. Gave me motivation. Gave me an origin story so powerful. Every article highlighted it. He tried to ruin her career, accidentally launching her global empire. The moment became tagline, headline legend. And it was only the beginning. This wasn't revenge. This was transformation. The world sees villains as threats, but sometimes they are architects. They shape you, sharpen you, and force you to rise higher than you'd ever planned. Daniel thought he destroyed me. He didn't know he had created the exact conditions needed for me to explode onto a global stage. And soon, he was going to learn just how far that explosion would reach. 6 months after launching Rise Avenue, everything in my life had changed, except for one thing. Daniel still believed he had control over me. He had no idea that I was no longer surviving the corporate battlefield. I was quietly purchasing the battlefield next door. While he plotted office politics, I was signing global partnership deals. While he sabotaged my projects, I was onboarding celebrity mentors. While he bragged about his leadership, I was building a brand with millions of women united under one mission. Rise, no matter who tries to pull you down. But like most villains, Daniel lived inside a bubble of arrogance. And bubbles always burst. It happened on a Monday morning. My phone buzzed with a message from an investor I respected deeply. We want to acquire Rise Avenue's mentorship division. I stared at the offer. It was life-changing, generational, the kind that could buy entire streets, not just houses. But I didn't accept it, not yet. I knew something better was coming. As my brand grew, so did the pressure. Interviews, speaking engagements, investor meetings, product development, partnership evaluations. I was juggling 10 different timelines at once, but every task fed the same fire. They underestimated me. Never again. Meanwhile, my workplace began to feel smaller. So small that I could sense the walls shrinking every time I walked in. Whispers followed me now, not out of mockery, but out of confusion. She's always in meetings. Is she consulting somewhere? She seems out of reach. Even the executives began noticing. But Daniel, he refused to see the obvious. His ego wouldn't allow it. He doubled down on his tactics. More emails questioning my work ethic, more attempts to block my promotions, more whispered comments to make me look unstable. On the outside, he was the same man who tried to humiliate me in that conference room. But inside, he was losing control, and he knew it. Then came the day that sealed everything. A major global conference for women in leadership reached out. They wanted me as the keynote speaker. Not a panelist. Not a guest. The headliner. They wanted the founder of Rise Avenue. The woman who turned humiliation into a global movement. The woman whose story inspired millions. I forwarded the invitation to my personal assistant. Yes, by then I had won, and continued working. But fate, ironically, put Daniel in the perfect position to witness the effects. The conference posted their speaker lineup. There, next to CEOs, diplomats, and world leaders, was my face under the title, Keynote Speaker, Founder and CEO, Rise Avenue. Someone from the marketing department saw it and shared it in the company's communication channel. Within minutes, the news spread through every floor. Who is she? Our employee. She owns a global company. How? The office buzzed like an active beehive. And then Daniel stormed to my desk. You shouldn't be doing outside work while employed here, he snapped, loud enough for nearby coworkers to hear. He wanted another public humiliation. He wanted control. He wanted to push me back into that same corner. But I wasn't the girl from that conference room anymore. I already disclosed everything, I said calmly. Months ago. He blinked. What? I followed protocol, I continued. HR approved it. The executives approved it. Everything is legally compliant. He looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. He stepped closer. You think you're invincible now, just because of that website. Rise Avenue. He couldn't even say the name. It's not a website, I said, still calm. It's a global brand. He scoffed, but his eyes were shaking. And it's growing faster than you think. As if on cue, fate loves timing, my phone buzzed on my desk. A notification from the brand's dashboard. 10 million women across the world. Supporting. Learning. Growing. Rising. Daniel saw the number flash across my screen before I turned it off. His mouth fell open slightly. He looked at me as if he had never seen me before. As if I'd transformed overnight into something incomprehensible. But this wasn't overnight. This was years of being underestimated. This was the product of his sabotage, his humiliation, his cruelty. He was the one who pushed me into greatness, and he didn't even know it. The days that followed were surreal. Executives began treating me differently. Respectfully, cautiously. Daniels, meanwhile, became unpredictable. Sometimes overly polite, sometimes desperate to find faults, sometimes silent and brooding. His downfall was beginning. But my rise had only started. By then, Rise Avenue was expanding into multiple divisions: education, leadership training, corporate workshops, digital products, global events. My small apartment had become an operational center. I moved everything into a private office, then hired staff, then signed contracts with brands I used to only dream about working with. The world wasn't just noticing me, they were watching me. Watching the girl who had been dismissed, mocked, humiliated. Watching her become unstoppable. And ironically, Daniel had become a chapter in my legend. Every podcast host asked about him. Every journalist wanted the story. Every article retold the moment he tried to ruin my career. He lit the match, one journalist wrote, that she turned into a wildfire. True, but the best was still coming. Because the day was approaching when Daniel would learn the full truth. I wasn't just building a brand. I wasn't just becoming successful. I was building something so massive, so influential, so global, that soon he would be living in a world shaped by the very woman he tried to destroy. And the moment he learned that truth would become the most satisfying moment of my entire life. If success has a sound, it is quiet, so quiet that you never hear it while you are climbing. But failure arrives in echoes. Footsteps outside your office, whispers in hallways, emails filled with empty apologies, and the sudden silence of people who used to greet you warmly. The day everything fell apart, I heard all those echoes at once. It was a stormy Wednesday morning when my assistant, Lena, entered my temporary workspace with trembling hands. She closed the door behind her and whispered, "They released the video." For a moment, I could not breathe. I already knew which video. Daniel's last and most destructive move. The man who once claimed he wanted to see me become the best version of myself had spent months orchestrating a narrative that painted me as an ungrateful employee, a liar, and a manipulator. He had edited clips of private conversations, twisted harmless comments into insults, and fabricated testimonies from anonymous employees claiming I had mismanaged and mistreated the team. Every line was a lie. Every word was poison. And every second was designed to end my career permanently. Lena pushed her phone into my hand. "Don't look at the comments," she whispered. I did not listen. The comments section was a battlefield. "Wow, she's fake. She deserved it." Karma finally hit her. I always knew she wasn't trustworthy. She messed with the wrong guy. My name was trending for all the wrong reasons. By noon, 3 interview invitations were canceled. By evening, 2 brand deals withdrew. By the next day, I had lost nearly half of my projected annual income. Daniel had succeeded, at least temporarily. I spent that night sitting alone on my apartment floor, the city lights blurring through my tears. Everything I had built, years of grinding, strategy, sleepless nights, ambition, had been smeared in one calculated strike. But here is the truth. Some storms come to destroy you. Some come to clear your path. This one, it came to force me to rise. 3 days after the video dropped, I received a message request on Instagram from someone I did not recognize. Her name was Savannah Blythe, a well-known crisis publicist who had rebuilt the careers of top influencers and CEOs. Her message was short. "I know what he did. I know how to reverse it. If you want to fight, I will equip you. But this will not be easy." I stared at her message for a long time. Vite. I was exhausted, broken, and terrified. But something deep inside me, the part of me Daniel underestimated, began to burn. I wrote back, "Tell me where to meet." That evening, Savannah sat across from me in a quiet coffee shop, analyzing me with sharp eyes. She tapped her manicured nails against a folder. "Before I help you," she said, "I need to know one thing." I nodded. "What? Do you want revenge or redemption?" I thought long and hard. "Neither," I finally answered. "I want truth. The whole world deserves the truth." She smiled, impressed. "Good, because truth makes better headlines than drama." Then she opened the folder. Inside were documents, screenshots, logs of digital manipulation, voice analysis reports, and more. "Your friend Daniel," she said, emphasizing friend, "made a mistake. He left fingerprints everywhere." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Explain." Savannah leaned forward. "He thought he was erasing your credibility. He did not realize he was leaving behind all the evidence needed to destroy his screen recording timestamps, metadata inconsistencies, fake account patterns, audio splicing traces, payments routed through a burner email, anonymous witnesses using identical grammatical errors. He was sloppy, she said, very sloppy. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in 3 days. Can we prove everything? She nodded. We can do more than that. We can rebuild your reputation and show how his sabotage accidentally amplified your story, reach, and influence. I blinked. Meaning? She smiled. Meaning he gave you the perfect origin story for a global brand. Savannah did not waste a second. She crafted a 3-phase strategy. We released an official statement. Calm, factual, and firm. No insults. No emotional outbursts. Just truth. It went viral within hours. I posted a behind-the-scenes video explaining my journey, my struggles, and the truth behind each fabricated accusation. I cried. I laughed. I spoke honestly. People felt my authenticity, and my comments section transformed overnight. It takes guts to be this honest. I'm so sorry for believing the lies. You deserve better, keep fighting. I'm following you because you're real. Savannah suggested launching a personal development brand, a platform for authenticity, empowerment, and digital resilience. Your story will attract millions, she said, and the people who once doubted you will become your strongest supporters. At first, I hesitated. Me, build a brand. After everything. Yes, she insisted, because the world loves a comeback, and your story is not over. So I spent the next 2 months building something new. A transparent digital academy. A motivational podcast. A platform for women dealing with workplace betrayal. A mentorship circle for young entrepreneurs. A merchandise line with the slogan, Rebuilt, not broken. The day we launched, the website crashed 3 times from overwhelming traffic. Daniel had managed to destroy my old career, but in the process, he had created so much publicity, so much curiosity, so much attention, that my brand exploded instantly. His sabotage had become my spotlight. One night, as I scrolled through comments, I saw something that stunned me. A woman wrote, I discovered you because of that awful video, but now I follow you daily. Thank you for being vulnerable. Another wrote, his hate made you famous. Funny how life works. And someone else commented, I want to learn from you. You turned pain into power. I smiled. Daniel wanted to break me. Instead, he introduced me to the world. He wanted to silence me. Instead, he amplified my voice. He wanted to make people hate me. Instead, they loved me more for surviving. And the best part, the more the truth came out, the more his empire began to crumble. Because scandals built on lies always collapse under the weight of truth. If someone had told me a year ago that the man who tried to destroy my career would be the reason I built a multi-million-dollar global brand, I would have laughed. Not out of disbelief, but because back then, I had no idea how powerful survival could be. But now I knew something Daniel never understood. When you push a strong person into the fire, they do not burn. They forge. And I was about to become unbreakable. The final blow against Daniel did not come from me. It came from the world. Savannah and I compiled a full investigative exposé covering corrupted audio files, edited timestamps, anonymous accounts tied to his IP, fake employee statements, manipulated footage, payments from Daniel to information brokers, a timeline that exposed his entire sabotage plan. We delivered the file to 3 independent journalists, people with reputations for high-integrity reporting. Within 48 hours, the headline spread like wildfire. Digital creator exposes career sabotage. Evidence points to ex-colleague. The article was surgical, cold, factual, undeniable. Screenshots, metadata analysis, transaction records, experts verifying deepfake patterns, internal messages proving intent. There was no space for Daniel to twist the narrative. The public reacted instantly. I knew something felt off. He tried too hard to ruin her. This is disgusting behavior. I hope she sues him for every dollar he owns. Suddenly, everyone who once doubted me returned. Not out of pity, but out of respect. They admired the way I stayed calm. They admired that I did not attack him publicly. They admired the way I rebuilt, step by step, without ever losing my dignity. And the more they admired me, the more they turned against him. Daniel released a statement the next morning. A shaky, rushed, poorly constructed apology video posted at 2:13 a.m. The hour of desperation. His voice cracked. His eyes darted everywhere except the camera. He blamed stress. He blamed burnout. He blamed alcohol. He blamed bad decisions made during emotional distress. But he did not blame the real cause: his obsession with destroying me. The comments section was brutal. "This is not an apology. You're just sorry you got caught. How many people have you done this to? You ruined someone's career for clout." Brands cut ties within hours. 2 of his speaking events were cancelled. His sub count dropped dramatically. And a former business partner publicly announced an investigation into financial misconduct. Everything he built on lies was collapsing, while everything I built on truth was rising. A week after the scandal broke, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Daniel. His voice was nothing like the confident saboteur who once strutted around the office, thinking he owned the world. Now he sounded hollow, like a man watching his reputation evaporate in real time. "I need to talk," he whispered. "About what?" "I didn't know things would get this bad. My sponsors dropped me, my team left. My agency is reconsidering our contract." Silence. Then he said the words I never thought I would hear. "I'm asking if you could release a statement saying you don't want people to harass me." I closed my eyes. Not out of anger, but out of realization. This was the same man who once smirked while saying, "Your career is fragile. One bad rumor and you're done." Now he was begging me to protect him from the truth he created. After a long pause, I replied, "I won't encourage harassment, but I won't lie and I won't cover for you." He exhaled shakily. "So this is how it ends?" "No," I said. "This is how consequences begin." And I hung up. My brand, born out of survival, was now global. The podcast had hit 10 million monthly listeners. My digital academy had sold out 3 cohorts. My merchandise line topped international shipping charts. Brands that once ignored me now competed for collaboration. Event organizers requested keynote speeches, and my story was being used in universities as a case study on personal branding. But the most surreal moment happened one evening in New York. I walked into a conference hall hosting a summit on digital ethics and reputation management. My name was on the main banner. Keynote speaker: How to rebuild a life after being publicly sabotaged. The applause that night was deafening. People stood and clapped before I even spoke. Not because I was famous, not because I had survived, but because I had turned destruction into direction. Because I had weaponized truth. Because I had built something Daniel never expected. A brand bigger than his entire career. And the most poetic part: he inadvertently gave me the platform. His lies forced the world to see me. His attacks amplified my voice. His sabotage built my demand. His betrayal shaped my message. Everything I had, every milestone, every victory, every opportunity, was because he tried to ruin me. He handed me the spotlight meant to destroy me, and I used it to illuminate the world. 3 months later, I ran into Daniel at a tech networking event. He looked smaller, physically and emotionally. Gone was his expensive watch. Gone was his entourage. Gone was his arrogance. He approached me cautiously. "You won," he said quietly. I shook my head. "No, Daniel, I didn't win. You lost yourself, and I found myself." He swallowed hard. "I never thought you'd become all this." I met his eyes. "You created the storm, but I chose how to walk through it." He opened his mouth as if to argue but stopped. There was nothing left for him to say. As I walked away, people rushed up to me asking for photos, advice, interviews. Daniel watched from a distance. He was invisible now. The world had moved on from him, but it had only just begun with me. My story is not about revenge. It is not even about justice. It is about becoming unstoppable. It is about reclaiming your narrative. It is about transforming sabotage into success. It is about leveraging pain into power. It is about understanding that what breaks you today might build your empire tomorrow. And most of all, it is about realizing that sometimes your enemies are your greatest contributors. Because Daniel, with all his lies, all his hatred, all his sabotage, ended up building the very empire he wanted to destroy. And I did not need to fight him. I simply outgrew him.